reward or any way care if it's a very recognizable place that's been shot?
Well, recognizable?
Yeah, I mean, if it's location has been,
I don't.
because I love Yosemite Falls, but I also know that it's a very common
Well, you
place
know,
to shoot.
that's a great question. I had a wonderful teacher who taught us about travel photography. I mean, she was my personal mentor, Dorothy Mayer. She's still around. And she would say things like, well, you know, if you're traveling, go and look at the postcards from the area. You know, she said, look and see what people feel like is the most important thing in that place, you know, that they want tourists to come and see. And then she said, go there and take a picture that people haven't taken or that's from a really different perspective. Do something that's really yours. So I don't have that feeling. I might have had it, I don't, you know, mostly, almost 100%, but not totally. I don't care, especially if I can see something I've seen before in some way that nobody's shown me. It's something that's unusual or particularly good take. So that's my thought on it.
Yeah, well, your piece, everybody responded to.
I love that people thought it was China. Actually,
Well, Ken said the Chinese landscape. Because that's the first thing that I saw, is I saw the Asian influence. Okay? And I don't know, are you all familiar with that image?
No. Which one? Let's walk over there. Come on.
It looks like a Chinese or Japanese. Actually, a photographer, photographs look like these. It's got a sort of imprint, the stamp.
Oh, yeah. I thought, yeah, it has a very Asian feel. I was Japanese.
I would like to see.
That made me smile that people didn't recognize it.
No.
But at the same time,
Can everybody see?
I would love to see that of Half Dome. I would like to see your vision of Half Dome. And I would hope it would be more than just something different than anybody else's. And recognizing and saying, no, I never saw Half Dome that size. Or somebody gets up in the middle of the night and does some weird time and uses technique to express Half Dome in a way that I haven't experienced it, or that will give me an insight so I can actually respond to it. You know, at one point, it's a visual art. You got to remember that it's not about talking. However, some people won't do photo books unless there's captions. So it's all, you know, you have to decide for yourself your limits, your rules, and work within that. Put your vision in that. Don't try to be Hansel or anything like that. Be influenced by him. Be inspired. But you don't want to do it. There's a gazillion Ansel Adams knockoffs. But taking Ansel Adams' trip is a very powerful thing because he did all this stuff in order to get the dynamic range in his photographs with silver. So you can't lose, I think.
When this picture came up, you know, going looking picture by picture by picture, and I, wow! First of all, it was so different, and it had such a, you know, I was, you know, what first strikes you? You know, you like it or you don't. Maybe you don't even know. But you know, for me, I looked at it and I thought, oh, the quality of the light and the softness and the diffusion. I mean, it's a combination of very diffuse and very sharp areas of it. And I love that it was so monochromatic, and it felt very magical to me, you know, and it had something really different than some of the other pictures. I mean, were so many more pictures than you have seen, you know, that are in the show, you know, a phenomenal sunset. I mean, how many phenomenal sunsets? I mean, one more phenomenal than the other. They really were spectacular, even if, you know, we've seen tons of them. But this was so different, and the quality of it was so different. I just immediately liked it, just immediately. And I didn't even know for sure what it was. And so if it's all recognizable to you, it wasn't at all to me. I had no idea what that was. I mean, and it did feel very foreign. And I think that's sort of the, you know, the aesthetic of maybe the East, you know, East.
Yeah, there's a gentleness about it, a delicacy that you can use all the words you want to define your response, but you really go with your guts. There's a thing about it, hard to make a decision, flip a coin. Before it's landed, you know what your decision was anyway. It's going with your guts, with everything you do.
Well, your gut is informed, though. That's the thing that I think part of the equation is that when people say, well, you just follow your gut feeling, that gut feeling has been bolstered by the aspect of experience and all that comes into that decision. This isn't Ouija board stuff, you know,
No, that's a good point, and culturally informed as well.
Well, it's not
Exactly.
an
I mean, it's a
intellectual
reflection.
endeavor.
I know when I take a photograph, I'll take 4 or 5 after I've taken the first one, but it's always that first one that I like the best.
well, sometimes
So
now
that's
we get to
intuition.
see that first one, and as Art was saying before, we used to just shoot and come back and hope you had something. And then I might review that and go, wow, this would be better immediately that if I drop to my knees rather than everything at 5'10", you know. And it's an informed decision, that gut feeling, really. I mean, I hear that a lot when I used to, you know, have a conflict with a student or something, and they'd say, well, that's your opinion, but you want to say it's a little bit more informed than yours currently is, so I'm going with this, and it's my class.
So can you talk about the first place one too? There was a lot of conversation about it, and you know what it was that you guys saw.
Well, again, first look at it through the. I absolutely loved it immediately, and I don't know if this referencing. I'm used to my students not getting any of my jokes. In fact, on one of my I have to tell the story. On one of my tests, I say 18% grade relates to what thing in photography, and then there's the right answer and several others, and then I say percentage of students who get my jokes. I looked at that, I said, that's Brigadoon, out of, which was an old musical where I think Gene Kelly was in it, and they made a movie of it. But the thing was that once every 100 years, out of the mist, came this village that came alive. And to me, that was the first thing I said, oh, look at this, these things are coming out. And it was so amazing to me. And it didn't, you know, I just loved it. You know, it was a very visceral thing, and it made me think of that. So, and I like the colors, it's very magical to me. It's just, what about you, Art? What was your first take on this
I
one?
felt the same way, but there were others that I liked as well, and it was very difficult. We all exchanged things back and forth. When you have more than one judge, it's really great because you can, it expands you, it expands your consciousness about this stuff. Was that your vertical landscape?
Oh, I love that one. That didn't get the
Yeah.
prize I wanted it to.
I really like that one a lot. Kim said he had problems with vertical landscapes. That was not a make or break.
Right.
So then I took this one and turned it vertically.
Yeah, he did.
Because that's the Asian, that's the Western view of perspective, where the farther something away is, the higher it is. Mount Fuji's at the top, and the 4 horsemen are staggered so you can see them. With our railroad perspective, you have to get up on a big ladder to stagger those horsemen, or spread them out so they're not in front of each other. So it's just that discipline, that vision, and that perspective thing. So I love that. Another thing that Kip had mentioned, and Kim had more of a technical bent on some of these.
Yes.
We all had a technical bent for you know, we've all got a little chip that bugs us, right? But Kim thought the top of that should have been dodged out.
Right.
And this is where I draw the line between manipulation and not manipulation. And also to what degree. Now, Ansel Adams used a lot of filters. You don't see stuff like that. You don't see stuff like that. So you can't use the same rules for looking at a landscape or light when you view an Ansel, or you view a lot of digitals or these overamped sunsets. You can't use the same sensibility. It doesn't negate that they exist and that they don't have their value. But you told me that it was really like that, and it was spectacular.
Right.
So if and when you have me back here, I think there should be an unmanipulated thing. What do you call it? Category. Okay, indifference? Nah. No, I'm not saying,
people are
I'm not saying
responding
you
to it.
can't do something, but you know, we like this one a lot. You know, the 2 people gave it scale. And I thought, wow, is that Photoshop?
And that didn't impress me a bit.
Yeah.
I
She
mean, I
saw
like,
Bonnie Doon, I saw Lost Horizon.
And Kim said about this one that there were lots of gifts in that image, and I
Yes.
think that's a nice thing to
And there
remember
was an
when you
issue
shoot.
with
Little gifts.
being dark in here, and then there was an issue also with the one being dark, your photograph. The one with the brown thing,
Oh, yeah,
that's yours.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that piece. Kim thought it was too dark. I thought it was too small. But I picked that, that was my judge's choice, because I love that photograph. It was sunset. When you go look at a sunset, and it's backlit, everything in the foreground's dark.
yes.
All right? Try closing your eyes for a while and open them up. The dark, when you put light on that, it opens up. And the same thing did here. Kim had a flashlight. Yeah. And also, I thought that should have been larger.
All right, we got another question here. Go ahead.
Anyway, go
One
ahead.
last question that I have.
Oh, okay, the two.
Are you willing to give the weights that made one over the other, between 1 and 2?
First and second.
I know this is probably a hard one, but
Which is the
when
second
you're
one?
finally awarding
The
1
last
and
one.
2, just between 1 and 2, what
It was a group
is that when
decision.
is that when the fighting really
It was a
begins?
group decision with a give and take. What can you
I
say?
believe that was one of the ones that got 3 dots right off the bat.
Which one was this?
The Brisky Point one?
Oh, the
Yeah, but
Zabriskie
it ended
Point?
up second.
Well, I think Kim's comment on that, was the same photographer did the half dome? I thought they were similar in terms of technique, but the Zabriskie Point, the thing we liked about that is it had an abstract component to it.
And we also thought technically, in terms of black and white, that it was very, very well executed in terms of the whole total range. And, you know, and that was pretty hard to do, but, you know, whatever. I was very impressed with it. I mean, that was one that struck me as I was looking at it.
You know, there's no
Things
science,
always-
there's really no science to this, you know. If we were gonna look at all these from a technical standpoint, some of these would not be awarded, okay? Because if you're gonna use silver, learn how to do it. If you're gonna use Photoshop, do it. It's like you said, John, like be informed. The more you know your tools, the more you can translate your vision into that medium. You know, anybody can go out and throw a bunch of paint on a canvas. Anybody can go out with an iPhone and collect data, all right? Why don't you go out with an iPhone and just say, I'm only gonna shoot 3 shots of this. And say what you want about, you know, all the energy that exists in the universe, but when you channel it, instead of diluting it with just stuff, more stuff, when you focus it with your vision, with however you've been informed. When I go out and make a portrait with a big camera, I shoot 2 negatives. 2 negatives, unless somebody's moved and I know I've totally blown it. But I shoot 2, and I get everything ready. And I'm doing 2 3-second exposures. And it takes a half hour just to get ready to do it. The same thing with the landscape, you know. All of it's channeled into this one thing. I don't go out and take my digital camera and go bam, 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 and go back. However, I've seen people do that and do incredible stuff. Yeah. But I'm just saying that anything goes, and then just to put a little twist on that, everything's been done.
Nothing new under the sun. We got a question here.
Oh, it's just, I don't even know what processing, I wasn't gonna touch it. What is that printed on?
It's on cardboard of some kind.
I think it's some kind of wood.
Is it
No,
styrofoam or
it's
is
not.
it?
It's
So
foam core.
lightweight, it's
that
not
foam?
even, it's like a
Probably foam core.
No, it's cardboard.
Oh, that's a straight print. That's just been mounted on styrene.
Oh,
Okay.
It's a relatively affordable way to make a large print. And the borders are in Photoshop.
Do developers mount it, or the person who took it had to mount it on?
No,
theirs?
that's actually it's a 16 by 20 print, and it's a straight print. It's got the black borders within the print. Little
Okay.
Photoshop stroke for the white border, and it's at the lab. I just had them mount it to styrene as an option. That was a $3 option.
Oh, nice. Boy, that's a cheaper way to.
Yeah.
Gator is an option, but this is 3mm styrene.
Well, on the other hand, I entered one once where I created the ad in Photoshop a few years ago, and it got negated simply because of that.
Oh,
But
okay.
it wasn't these judges.
Yeah, so you never know.
And one of the things Art said when we first started was we should make a rule that everybody used the same little black frame because the frames were really distracting for him.
Yeah, we don't see those online. You have to remember, we see the images online.
And some of them.
No matting, no
And
frame.
I've noticed that
It's a whole nother,
this year
it's a
there
whole
were
nother
some
vision.
pieces that had no glass in front of them, and I'd never seen that. Is that a new trend, or?
The photographer who just came to us and said he wanted to do that, and we said, well, are you willing to worry about
chance?
someone
Yeah.
sneezing on it?
I
And he
just,
signed a release, just like everyone else.
you know, in a way, it's nice because there's no reflection.
Yeah.
And, but it's like, I mean, it would be an accident waiting to happen,
Yes,
you know?
yeah.
We have, lots of kids coming through the show this year, 2 classes of
Gotcha.
second,
They
third
don't
graders.
frame paintings.
Well,
Don't put glass on
oils,
paintings.
oils, and you do on
They do
watercolors, but
frame
you don't on
watercolors,
oils or
anything
acrylics.
that's,
Because if somebody sneezes
Yeah.
on it, it's gonna,
right,
which is a whole technique.
And oils and acrylics don't scratch as easily as
Yeah.
oyster papers.
Well, I shoot 3D. I do everything in 3D now, with just 2 cameras, regardless of the medium. I mean, digital or silver. And glass in front of a 3D thing in an exhibition is just,
Takes away.
yeah.
We have some more questions.
Okay, well,
So-
maybe to me, I mean, half of the fun of printing your stuff is matching it to the paper. And, that's something I've just really started falling in love with. I used to just get the, you know, inexpensive, basic Bay photo paper, but the last year or so, I've really tried experimenting with papers and matching the right paper to the right photo.
You're
Because that
getting,
can
you're
totally
getting
change.
informed.
That totally changes the feel of some. Some look fabulous on metal. I think there's one of the neon signs.
Yes,
on-
yes, we were
that
commenting, we
was
love that.
beautiful.
And then sometimes it doesn't work at all,
Yeah.
another topic.
Yeah.
Can we move along?
yeah,
And
let's.
and I want to hear more from you. We try to keep our answers a little shorter so we can get more questions in.
So do you want to do people next
People,
since we're
that
here?
was-
And
Yeah, that was
a-
very hard.
Yeah, and that was a,
Excellent.